Hi, thanks for watching my video today. I was making a level earlier and modifying this road in the level Crash Hard, and I kept looking over at the water and thought about how cool it would be to make like ICBMs, like the missile launchers out of subs, like the Intercontinental Ballistic Missiles, but in this case it would be Intercontinental Ballistic Buses. So anyways, I decided to get to work on it. I've already got the tube in place. I had to lower the water level so I could see what I was doing. It's hard to work underwater. So here I am lowering the water level down. I already have one tube in place. I rotated the tube to 22.5 degrees. I made this video earlier and I'm doing audio, so I'm speaking over it. So again, that tube right there is at 22.5 degrees. I used a rotational tool to do that. And I want to get the tube about, 5 feet under the surface of the water. And I want to make the lake deeper. So I got to recess the bottom. I'll do that with the terrain tool coming up here shortly. I think I put 4 tubes and then the bus inside each tube. And then modify the gravity to, I think I used moon gravity. Here I am lowering the bottom of the lake a little bit. I want all the 4 tubes to be equal. I'm not sure what the settings are on the terrain tool there. I gotta lower the water a little bit more so I can see what I'm doing. And you can see the road over there. I modified it. I made like pits and raised the water. I'll put a link to that video I made in the description below. I titled it Rhythm and Timing. You can see the road back there, how I modified it. Here I am raising the water. So I want to get the water back to the same level as it was of the previous video. You can see it's still kind of low. It's got to come up quite a bit. So I realize now the lake is still too low. There we go. Bring it up. More, more, more. Right about there. Right in that area should be fine. Now I can go back and adjust the tube. Checking everything out, see how everything looks. Everything looks good. Now I can bring the tubes back up, or the tube back up. I gotta get positioned correctly so I can grab that blue handle. Right about there is good. Now I can bring the water back down. That looks good. So let's bring the water down so I can see what I'm doing. Now copy the tubes. I think I make 4 of them. That looks good right about there. I'm just checking everything out. I don't need some of these things. I don't need the inspector. I don't need the asset browser either. Here I am getting the bus ready. So here I am getting the bus's position for the tubes. The tubes are set at 22.5 degrees, so all I have to do is rotate the bus and it should match. Should match. Doesn't mean it will. I've done something like this before, putting buses in tubes. I think I can't remember what I named that video. I think I called it BeamNG Space Force. And it's pretty cool. I like messing around with gravity and using the JATOs and launching things into the air. It's pretty neat. I'll put a link to that down in the description as well. So here I am trying to get it lined up, and you want to make sure the bus is lined up correctly, because all it takes is a little bit of the bus to be inside the tube, touching the tube, and it will bind and not move. I actually run into that problem here, and I actually have to increase the size of each tube. I think I have them set at 155 by 155, and I just increase it to 160 by 160. I give it a little bit more movement inside the tube. You can see there the bus is off a little bit. And if you make the tubes big enough, you don't have to worry about being too precise. I was thinking about getting the Saturn missile and using that without modifying the gravity. And I could take the missile into like Blender and increase its size and make it about the same size as the bus. But I just didn't feel like doing that. I'll just use a bus. I think the buses fly better through the air if you put the ram plow on the front of it. And when I launch them, I will be using moon gravity. Here I realized that if I drop the bus in there right now, it would, the JATOs would, something happens to, I guess they hit the ground and it damages them. From experience, I know that you have to put a block back there. So I just went and copied a block from here. I'm gonna move it over here, resize it. I'm just trying to get it positioned. There we go. Be in a perfectly straight line. I can see now I'm going to have to lower the terrain, so I'll use the terrain tool. Just click on the lower terrain, increase the brush size or decrease the brush size. And once I lower everything, I'll go back over it real quick with the smooth tool, smoothing everything out. That's the smooth tool right there. And just smoothing it out. Now comes the tricky part of getting the bus inside the tube. I got to do 4 of them, 3 more. So after several launch attempts, I realized the tubes were just too small. I had them set at 155 by 155. So here I am increasing them, I think, to 160 by 160. The roof of the bus, the wheels were binding inside the tubes. So that's 160 by 160. Yeah, it seems to give me a little bit more room to work with. See, the front tires are not touching. The roof's not touching. And both JATOs are clear, so this should work. Yeah, you can see the tires are good. Roof's good. So I should press J here and just let it fall. There he goes. Oh, it looks like I'm still on 0 gravity. Gotta put it back on Earth gravity. Or maybe I'll do I think I do a test launch here. Yeah, there it goes. So yeah. So everything's good. So I gotta redo the next 3 tubes and cut and set them to 160 by 160. And that's gonna be my next step. Here I am. So I got 3 buses in. That's the last one. And if everything works out, we should be getting ready for our first test fire. And most of the tools used in the world editor here are very, very basic. Nothing really too complicated. These are just the very basic fundamental tools. It's not getting too deep into what the world editor is capable of. Here I am raising the water back up, and I start to see something. I think there's bubbles in the engines on the bus. Yeah, see the engines. Not that it matters because I'm using the JATOs, but I think I ran into a problem here, and I just couldn't get these things to launch. I'm trying to figure out where those bubbles are coming from, and it looks like the tires are spinning, or maybe the engines are running underwater. They shouldn't be. But I had to figure out what the problem was here. I just went and turned all the engines off, and the bubbles stopped. Oh, and here I am putting some lights. I put rotating lights. I don't know why. It's very time consuming. I really didn't need to do it. Like police lights underwater. I put 2 red ones. And again, it's very easy. Just add object, go to light, spotlight. Over there on the right hand side, you just click rotation and change the color and apply an animation to it, causing it to rotate. And here's what the lights look like when I was done with them. Don't really matter because you can't see them. And now I'm raising the water back up. I think I get ready for my first launch. I do have a lot of problems getting the buses to launch. I wanted them to launch like 1 second, then 1 second, then 1 second. I didn't want them to come out at the exact same time. I wanted them to come out like 1 second after each other, and I just couldn't get that to work. I got 3 to launch, and then the last one launched about 2 seconds later. So at this point, I've already tried to launch these things like 5 times and nothing worked. So what I did this time, I think, is I lowered the water, pressed J, and then B. B activates the JATOs. And then I raised the water back up. Because when I activated the JATOs underwater, they wouldn't launch. Or they would stick, or they wouldn't launch. So this time I launched, put the water down, activated them, and pressed J to release the graphics, and there they go. That's my first attempt. 2 went off, and 2 are stuck down there. You can see there's still 2 underwater. So what I did here was I put all the buses back in, I lowered the water, and did it again, and hit B and J. B launches the JATOs, or activates the JATOs, and J freezes the physics of the game. So, and then I watched to make sure that all 4 were moving. So the first 3 have a little bit of a head start, and then the last one comes out. There you go, 1, 2, 3, that's perfect. But that last one, you know, I think I went 2, 3, 4, and then went back to number 1. That's why the farthest bus away came out last. So here I am. Once they're in the air, I put Earth gravity back on, so they'll fall back to Earth. And then right here I hit J to pause. Hit escape. Bring up your menu, click on that little smiley face and click explosion. Smiley face, fire, or explosion. Smiley face, fire, or blow the doors off, and then wheels off, and smiley face and explosion. So now hit Shift C, come away. So now I got Earth gravity back on, and I have something set for each bus. There you go. So when the buses launched from underwater, I had it on moon gravity. Once they got to their apex, I went and put it back on Earth gravity. Then I applied my, I guess you could say, special effects, like the doors and tires blow off. Make sure you're recording the scene so you can play it over and over and over. Get all your different camera shots.